I want to talk about Odegaard as well because all the talk is about Odegaard, and I know you feel he should maybe give up his captaincy. There's two things with that. First of all, I don't really care so much about whether he's got the armband or not, because in football, unlike other sports, team sports, the captain's role isn't really that significant. In football, the captain's not that important. So what's more important is
But
having
that's
three or
because,
four.
sorry, Jordan, that's because modern day managers like Mikel, or who Mikel have learnt of, have decreased the importance of a
Maybe,
captain. I
maybe.
disagree with you because captains are so important when I was growing up. Tony Adams and Roy Keane to me
I
are
agree.
two people I look at and say, you know, if I was to ask number one about them, their leadership, and they challenged the manager. Like Adams challenged Wenger the first week he came in because
Yeah.
he made some tactical tweak against Gladbach, and we lost the game. And Adams was like, "What the fuck is this guy doing? He's not even in yet, trying to do tactic." Or Roy Keane, how many times he challenged Sir Alex? Instead, now what a captain has become is
A
my
mouthpiece.
my mouthpiece, my puppet. Whatever I say, he's going to try, and that's a
Yeah.
problem. But you are right; the importance has dwindled.
It's dwindled. I mean, I'm with you, but in modern day football, you can't shout at players anymore. You can't do that. So for me, the captaincy in football is more symbolic. The bigger issue I have with Martin Odegaard isn't about his captaincy. It's that he's not even doing the basics well. So I don't think Declan Rice played well yesterday, but Declan Rice still did a couple of things where you're like, okay, that was impressive.
He
I don't
thought
think Saka was good yesterday, but he did a couple of things where you're like, okay, Saka did a couple. I don't think Saliba was great yesterday, but he still did a couple of things where you're like, all right, it wasn't brilliant, but there was a couple of things that he did that you could look to and be like, that was impressive. Odegaard, I can't think of one thing that he did that made me think, all right, yeah, that was a really good through ball, or yeah, won the ball back well there. His basics, his 5-yard passes, his pass selection is really bad. He's making the wrong passes all the time, hanging on to the ball, giving away cheap fouls. He's scooping it when he should dink it. He's passing to Saka when it should be the flirter. That's what's more worrying to me about Martin Odegaard, and it's been for a while. His basics. Forget chance creation. Forget that for a second. I'm talking about 5-yard passes. Those things for me over the course of the game are what really concerns me about Martin Odegaard. People chat about. I was at the box park, as you mentioned last night. And, oh yeah, but the injury maybe. That was November. It was November. I mean, really. We're clutching a little bit. So we got to have a long, hard think about what's happening next year now regarding Martin Odegaard. I'm not saying we should sell him. I'm not advocating we sell him, but to have a poor season, and you are our captain. I don't know. We never doubt Martin Odegaard's endeavor, his work rate, and his commitment. Never, and I would never, because he gives it everything. But his output and quality is so poor.
commitment,
And in a game like last night where we need him,
I'll doubt his commitment. I'll doubt his commitment because there's a difference between work rate and commitment. Part of commitment is making yourself available, and he's not making himself available. And when he's on the ball, he's doing the safe thing. That to me is not committed. Now, if you can take the captaincy off Aubameyang, and I know that was a disciplinary issue, but if you can take the captaincy off him, then you can take the captaincy off. I'm sorry. Going into next season, he should not be our captain. Full stop. He should not be our captain. We've got better candidates. Rice, Gabriel, Saka. These men stand up when needed. They stand up. We've seen it multiple times over the years.
I get what everybody's saying here, but I think that for me, I think you just got to take a breath with Martin Odegaard. He's a fantastic footballer. He's just out of form, and
We've been breathing all season, Lee.
Season. Like the injury has lost him a little bit of a yard and all that. And sometimes, you have a pre-season, you have to do it all again. You're not quite at it for whatever reason. I'm making all the excuses under the sun for him, because I think he's a very, very good footballer. But ultimately, right, he is out of form temporarily. What's that thing like? Temporary.
Class is permanent, form is temporary.
Yeah, he's got that. But at the end of the day, he's just out of form. And it's now down to the manager to take him out. It's as simple as that. Because he's tried to work into his form. He's tried everything. He's working hard and everything. He is just not at it. I looked at him yesterday. Every single time he got the ball, it broke down when he tried something or he played safe. Okay, it's just one of those. So take him out. You haven't got to drop him from the captaincy. If he's not playing, he's not captain. Right? That's as simple as that. He just does not deserve, on current form, to be a starter in this team. He doesn't. It's been going on for too long now. Now, this ruthlessness with Arteta is there on certain things. It's not been here with him. And I get it. He's been so good for us that you want to try and get him back into form and loyalty and everything like that. But there comes a time when you're getting paid £12 million a year on big games and your star man or one of your better players is not doing the business, you have to hold your hands up and say, I've got to leave you out. 5 minutes to go from that game. Like we're needing a goal if you want to be. He's taking him off. So he's not happy with him. But it comes to a stage now where and maybe if you sat down with Arteta and go, why are you not leaving him out? I haven't got no one that can do it. Maybe there's that. But at the end of the day now, so I do think because of the lack of getting somebody in that can do that, squad that is now causing problems for Odegaard, because he should not be in the team. And if he's not in the team, he's not captain. So I don't think taking away the captaincy is a productive thing to do.
I'm with you, Lee. Sorry to cut you. I'm with you. I think what you just said there is the approach. I think I honestly don't think anyone has put the need for a creative midfielder or a number 10 as high on their priority list as I have. We've done quite a lot of videos on this on AFTV, I think, Turkish, and I've had it right up there, I think, even above a left winger. Now, the reason I have it so high is A, to take the burden off Odegaard, but B, because we've got to look at his performances this season. I think Odegaard will turn it around. I think in a year's time, we'll be talking about an Odegaard that looks much more like the 22-23 and 23-24 version of him. I don't think that class goes away. I also don't think he's a player that was dependent on burst and sprint. So I don't see there being a long-term effect with his ankle. By the way, just to say this, I'm obviously no physio. I don't really buy into this whole, he can't lock his ankle when he shoots, because I've never played football to that level, but I've played football with an ankle injury that I've never been on a pitch and thought I can do everything but shoot. My ankle feels great, except for when I do this one thing. But I might be wrong. That doesn't really sound right to me. You're still, using your ankle in a lot of different ways. So I don't really give him the excuse of the injury. However, I think we've got to bring in a creative player, because at the very least you're pushing Odegaard, or you've got someone in there who helps him and you get more out of him and you evolve his position. And then ultimately, if he's not at the levels next season and you're starting insert attacking midfielder with Partey and Rice, or Zubimendi and Rice, or whatever it is, then naturally that armband's being worn by someone else in the 90 anyway. And I think that's the approach. It's you add the players you need to add, and then you kind of see what happens circumstantially. I think this is the one thing we underrate about this Arsenal squad, is the group and the togetherness and all this stuff that I think people think is a lot of fluff they don't care about, but it does matter. And I think to do that would be significantly disruptive. I don't think we get a net positive out of having Rice on the pitch running around with the armband going nuts, blah blah. I think we gain as much from that as we lose from the actual act of stripping it from him.
And I think people like Saka, Gabriel, and Rice act like captains on the pitch anyway.
I agree.
Gone on it. We lost in the midfield. Just going on about Martin Odegaard, quickly going back to that. I think that ankle injury is a lot worse than what was made out. I really do. And I do. No one knows what goes on. I've had an ankle injury before. We've all had ankle injuries before. Sometimes you're still playing months later. You still got, it swells up. I remember, I used to play, swells up. You have to ice it for a couple of days before it goes down. You get up in the morning, it's stiff, it's painful and all that. It's getting all the physio and all that, But I do think that injury was a lot worse than what it was.
Lee, I'm going to say something here. Yeah, go on. No, because I'm going to say something. I'm not going to say where the information's come from or nothing, but I know players last year burnt themselves out. I know players last year, one in particular was Ben White, we all know about. They played through injury week in, week out to get something special done, right? And maybe Odegaard's doing that again, yeah? And maybe that's been detrimental to you know, the cause, my opinion now of him or whoever. Yeah, strip the cap. Why the fuck is the club and Arteta letting this happen? How can you go in light after you've run man ragged for 2 years, nearly crossing the line, and you go do it again, Lee? So if Odegaard is still injured and, you know, he does deserve some leeway in the criticism, fair enough. Don't play him. But what will that expose? That'll expose a lack of depth behind him. And what does that do? Oh my God, the club, they don't care. They're just they're protecting themselves and by doing this to the players as well. Because I know Ben White, we'll use Ben White as an example. 100% he should have had his op earlier. But he wanted to, and the club wanted him to continue. Fine. We didn't get over the line, but it's been detrimental to us this year.
100% agree with you. But I will take you back to the day that he was playing against Norway in that game, right? Everybody was devastated when he got injured. Everybody, because we know how good he was. You know what I mean? Like, but since that injury, he has not been at the levels. That's all I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not making excuses. You know, maybe we should have maybe in January looked to get somebody. I think we got to get someone in the summer to replace. But at the end of the day, like, people are quick to jump on the bandwagon, have a go at him, and rightly so. But just when you do, just remember when he got that injury against Norway, how you felt.
But Lee, so I completely agree, and I just want to. I don't agree with stripping of the captaincy, so I backed him there, and I also think he's going to get back to his best. So I'm backing the player, and I've said all that on this pod. I just, having not done 1 minute of physiotherapy classes and learning, you know, about the industry and all that and the mechanics of it all, I'm just not sure I understand. I'm not sure I understand what the ankle injury is affecting in terms of what I'm seeing that's so disappointing. You know, I saw him not showing and not popping up in positions, and I don't, you know, why is he taking free kicks then? You know, it's little things like that. Like I'm not, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't, you know, people are saying, well, maybe his shooting's not right because he can't lock his ankle, but I'm like, I've just listen, but he can put his foot through a ball and ping a pass. There's not a lot of difference in technique when you're pinging a pass 50 yards to when you're trying to. Yes, there are different, but I don't really understand why. If your ankle hurts, your ankle hurts. I don't know. Maybe I'm being really naive. Maybe
what it is, it's not about the ankle injury. It's maybe he's had that. Like, you know, what happens is you don't train as much as what you do. You're having to nurse it, whatever, blah blah blah. And do you know what goes more than anything? Your confidence in your ability just goes a little bit, like, you know. I think that is where the problem lies. You know what I mean? Like, you sort of then, I can't be doing the same things that you're doing, and you start question yourself on the pitch not to do this and that, and you try and go safe and it don't work and all that. It's all of those sort of things. What I'm saying is that it's from the injury, and people go, oh, it's 6 months ago and whatever. It's a build up along those lines, like, you know. Like, for instance, you might for 2 days you could be working on this, working on that. He's having to have physio. We don't know, you know what I mean, like on the ankle for a day or whatever. I'm not making excuses for it, like, you know. I'm not. I'm just sort of trying to put it out there that injury is something that and confidence. But confidence is a big thing.
I know. I get you. I just think if that's the case, the club then, like Turkish has said,
have
left themselves and these players in a really disappointing position.